Rolling start. Welcome back, everybody, and a very happy Father's Day to any dads in the audience. This is On, and we are playing some Night Striker, and starting off in medias res today, as I just wrap up with the boss of the Stage C canal. We're just gonna skip ahead sometimes to cover the areas we've already done today, and jump straight to the paths and levels you have not yet seen. And we are going to be able to finish up with the rest of the stages today, and it's going to be a nice 100% wrap-up. Now, last time we hung a left of the tunnel here. This time we're going to Stage F, a sky stage. We've seen the sky before as one of our final stages. This time it's just going to be a regular standard flying car stage. As before, we've got nothing to fear from the buildings down below. Even if we fly at our lowest, we will go over the top of them. It's just sort of an afterburning type of stage, just as we saw before. And we will, I believe, be having some fighter jets with their homing missiles, but this stage isn't too bad of a missile party. No, we'll be seeing those later. I don't believe we've seen many of those flying brain pod things before. They're not particularly notable enemies. They're just flying bullet shooting type of things. Their patterns are a little different usually from the most common flying bullet shooting enemy, that being these helicopters, but you can handle them in pretty much the same way. Oh, okay, those were the only fighter jets in this level, and they just sort of fly toward the horizon and self-destruct. Why not? You may recall the end boss that we had in the sky stage before. There were a bunch of these sort of flying powered armor dudes, and then we had to fight a beefed up flying powered armor that was piloted by the terrorist group's adjutant. See, I actually pronounced it correctly that time. This time, there's not going to be any additional boss. We just need to take out these guys, and that will be the end of it. Not too big a deal, although I did use up most of the boss timer. We got our shield reserves up to 7, which is not going to be bad at all. And moving on to Stage I, it's going to be another sea stage. Now these tend to be a little bit more of a missile party, which could give me a little trouble because the later in the game you start running into lots of homing missiles, the faster and the more accurately tracking they're going to be. But based on that first salvo, it looks like they're not incredibly accurate yet, so I should be more or less okay. Although the bridges that I need to stay under are going to make things a little more challenging. I think the sea stages overall may have the tightest concentration of homing missiles because you have lots of jets and you have the hovercraft, and those are both big missile spewers. Right now it's not too bad, but just wait until we have a sea stage at the very end of the game, which will happen eventually. Yeah, right now we can deal with the missile salvos by just doing the whole controlled circling thing. My circling was not quite controlled enough there, because they don't home in on you extremely quickly and accurately, so yeah. Later missile salvos will have to deal with a bit more special technique. But for now, all we've got is more of the mechanical sea dragon type enemies. These are always a pain in the ass on the boss timer, but we'll see if we can get them out before we run out of time. It's tough because, yeah, you can only really get proper aim shots in on them when they're coming towards you. You can try and hit them in the back of the head otherwise, but it's really kind of luck of the draw with the way their body snakes around. Yeah, I'm not going to make this one, I don't think. Yeah, it looks like they're just going to head off to the distance. They've had enough. Just one more missile to remember them by, and, well, can't win them all. Still in excellent shape shield-wise. is probably a good thing, because if memory serves, the Suburbs are another bit of a missile party. I do kind of like the big highway sort of look of the Suburb stages, just the sort of street backdrop. It just reminds me of a driving game, but your car is flying and it has rapid-fire plasma shots, which is a lot more fun than most driving games, in my humble opinion. Anyway, yeah, we're starting to see the missiles get pretty nasty, especially when we have these overhanging obstacles that we need to stay under or elsewise avoid while we're dodging missiles. But yeah, controlled circling still kind of works, but it's starting to get less effective because the missiles can change direction so quickly. When the missiles start to get nasty toward the end game, something that I find helpful is to treat them sort of like the homing lasers in Darius Gaiden, another lovely title game, and wait until the last possible moment to change direction. Just sort of fake them out, make it look like you're not going to move out of the way, then just dodge at the last second so they can't change direction quickly enough. Don't know if that's necessarily the best way to handle those, or even the homing lasers in Darius Gaiden, which I've never been great at, but it seems to work more often than not, and it's a little safer than controlled circling in the late game stages. So we've got another missile trailer here, and even though these have the heftiest missile volleys in the game, they're entirely predictable, so that makes it a little bit easier on you. Just wait until as late as you can, then do a single rotation, and you should avoid all of them. Easy peasy. And it looks like for our final stage this time, in the R block, we're going back to the city where we began. Yep, in a large city, bringing us full circle, and we must defeat the gold helicopter of the terrorism organization boss. Huh, interesting. Oh, and we've got an option. You may recall that in the final stages we usually get some sort of modification to our flying Automo car, and in this case it's just another little ship that flies around and shoots when we do. Very gratuitous, and I can't complain about that. Anyway, as I started to say, it's kind of interesting that we're actually going after the terrorism organization boss this time, because in another ending path, we found out that the adjutant was the one that held the real power in the organization, and the actual terrorism boss was just kind of a puppet, and had become almost an insane person, as the game put it. Nevertheless, this time we are going after the figurehead. Not quite as much as the Suburbs, but these large city stages do have a little bit of that driving game kind of vibe to them. Yeah, when you have missiles coming at you in a final stage, it's just a bit of a fucker. As you've seen, they can swerve in on you real quick, so even if you're circling at top speed, you might not make it. Alright then, you will probably remember the helicopter that we had as our very first boss. Now we've got 3 of them, 2 green guys, and the golden helicopter being piloted by the terrorist leader. No matter what, we are going to ultimately have to take all of them out, which can be a little tough with a boss timer, because it's almost bullet hellish here how many projectiles they have flying at us. Still, I think we'll be alright. We've got it down to the gold helicopter now. Got a few seconds. It looks like his shield is now permanently down. We just have to get that last couple of hits in. Done and dusted. The duty has been completed. The player destroyed the armored helicopter Gyro Hound of the terrorism organization boss. By receiving communication, the player knew that a detached force succeeded to explode the base of the organization. By this, the terrorism organization has been completely destroyed. Were Dr. Lindvery Maska and his daughter rescued? The natural shape of the boss was a dishonest political who lost his position 10 years ago and seemed to have strong revengeful thought. Details were, however, still unknown. Interesting. Seems the terrorism group was actually led by a corrupt and deposed politician who had, as the game colorfully puts it, strong revengeful thought. But we're left not knowing whether the operation to rescue the professor and his daughter were successful at all. Well, I hope they made it out. At any rate, hopefully this will be a substantial blow to the terrorist organization. Presumably, the adjutant is still out there causing trouble, but without the figurehead, I do hope that it'll be a little easier to bring down the rest of the branches. In any case, that's one more ending down. We've got a few left to go. And I will be cutting out the bits at the beginning that we've already seen and just rejoining the action with you when we have a new branch that has not previously been played in this run. Taito. One of the truly great arcade publishers, I think. They never had quite as big of a presence on the home scene. I mean, a lot of their games did get ported, but really, they were an arcade company at the core of it, I always thought. And a very, very good one. As you can see, this game doesn't have any high score memory. The high scores from my previous session have not saved, but no big deal. At least I'll be able to do some comparison with my own playing in future runs on this cycle. And I will cut to the next one now. Alright, we're gonna pick back up at the end of Sky Stage F, and this time we are gonna hang another right. And that's gonna take us to Stage J, which is another tunnel, and those are usually fairly rough, but I never mind rocking out to a little burning road, so that's always a plus. This time we've got some red Van Canes at the end waiting for us, it looks like. Actually, as tunnel stages go, I don't think this one is that bad. They don't really position the barricades in a way that you're coming at them too blind around the corners. The missile content is fairly low. All in all, it's pretty manageable. Even a relatively manageable tunnel is no joke, but yeah, we're gonna be alright, I think. Of course, we're gonna catch a little bit of our armor on the edges of the barricades every now and then, but it wouldn't be a tunnel stage if we didn't, am I right? As usual, the spider cluster toward the end of the stage is going to have a little bit of missile fun for us, but at least we don't have to worry about any barricades at the same time. And I'm just going to follow my usual strategy here, which is clinging to the ground, eliminating the Y-axis as a factor as much as possible, and just try and tracking the left or right movements as best I can. Which is clearly imperfect, but what can you do? Overall, that went okay. Not gonna get the wipeout bonus, but I think that might actually work a little differently than I thought it did. I thought the wipeout bonus was for taking out all the dogs at the end of those tunnel stages, but in some of the loops that I recorded as preparation for this video, and in some of the parts that you won't see, I definitely hit all of them, and I didn't get the wipeout bonuses. Also, there were times where I killed every enemy in the level, and, you know, just 100% kill rate for the entire tunnel, and I still didn't get the wipeout bonus. So I'm no longer entirely sure what triggers it, which is too bad because it's a pretty goodly chunk of points. Anyway, we're back to the factory for Stage N, and in this one, I have kind of a standard pattern for it, which is unusual for me. Usually I just kind of ad-lib the stages as they come, but this one I like to stay in the middle as much as possible and actually eliminate the x-axis to the fullest possible extent. Because that way you don't have to worry about the columns so much, you just have to fly up and down to avoid the shutters, but sometimes there will be ones in the middle, like here, and a few that we saw just a bit ago, and so you do have to nudge left and right a little bit. And that one moved on me and kinda threw me for a loop. But overall, it's a pretty solid strategy. This level's mostly about the obstructions and not so much about the enemies. And at the end, we're gonna have the robot arms again, which kinda shoot their 3-bullet spreads, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking there. I just flew right into that. I was taking it a little too lightly, I think, because these do tend to be some of the easier bosses, but yeah, you can't entirely sleep on them. Anyway, pretty much the same as every robotic arm factory boss we've seen, just 2 of them this time. They're still fairly slow and easy to hit, and their shots are just straightforward projectiles, so not a big deal. It looks like our final stage will be a return to the ancient temple this time. And we are going to have one of our more unusual car transformations this time. And our orders are to destroy the supercomputer, or the base of the terrorist. So this time, we're going to have our car be damaged, and we've got a motorcycle. So now it's super hang-on with lasers, I guess. And since we are just a motorcycle, we can't fly. It is not a flying bike. So whenever we try to go up, we will jump. And you have full control over your jump, as you can see. You can steer left and right in the air as much as you want. And by how long you hold down the upward movement, you can somewhat control the height and length of your jump. But yeah, we do have to return to the ground after a certain amount of time. We can't just hang time forever. So that does make things a little tougher, but balancing things out, the enemy presence here is not too bad. No missile types, I think. Also, it's kind of interesting story-wise, for as much of a story as this game really has, that last time we were going after the terrorism organization boss, while a separate operation went after their base, and in this path we're going after the base ourselves. You are dead, dead, dead. And we actually catch a little bit of a break on the boss here, possibly because we're limited to our motorcycle movement. We have the big robot suit kind of things, and they do have missiles just as before, but there is really nothing new about them. They're exactly the same, as far as I can tell, as the versions we fought when the temple was not a final stage. Actually did a little better against them this time, in fact. Pretty good timer bonus, too. With the poor equipment of escaping unit after cutting off the outer equipment, He player was able to defeat heavy foot soldiers great destroyers only, and has no firepower for attacking the enemy base. If so, there is only one way, that is a bodily crash by setting in the autopilot. This idea succeeded, and the player was able to destroy the supercomputer of the organization's center. The player, however, has lost a big thing. Farewell to my machine. Well, that's kinda sad. You know, if you're a Night Striker team veteran, I suppose your flying car is going to be almost like your partner. And, Sadly, this time, to destroy the supercomputer base of the terrorist organization, we had to sacrifice our partner. What seems a little strange about this to me is that in one of the previous paths, our flying car was destroyed by an unavoidable missile attack by the adjutant. And that's the stage that we were just kind of a rocket-powered hang glider guy flying around. But maybe the car in that case wasn't completely destroyed, it was just disabled by the missile and we were able to salvage it afterward. I don't know. In any case, successful mission, but a little bittersweet this time. Well, our sorties are going to start getting a little bit shorter and shorter as I cut out more stages that we've already seen. But we want to get all those endings and all of the stages seen at least once, so we're going to keep going the way we have. Oh, beat my score from the previous run by a pretty substantial margin, actually. Very nice. Alright then, once again we've got some early stages to cut out, and I will catch up with you in just a bit with the next one that is new to this LP. Let us now rejoin our Night Striker operative at the end of the tunnel stage, J, and this time, instead of hanging a left, we're going to make another right, and that's going to take us to the Big O, another large city. I kind of like this city stage, not that it's better than the others, but it's a little bit of a departure from them. It's laid out and feels a little different from the rest of the city stages, and that's a nice change of pace. It has a lot more wide open space. Oh, that was careless. By the way, I kind of wonder about these enemies. Do the terrorists have their own flying cars, or have they captured a whole bunch of hardware from the Night Striker team? I really don't know. I'm getting shot left and right by regular projectiles here in any case, which is pretty embarrassing. Should be able to avoid those a lot more consistently than the missile barrages. In any case, as I was saying, there's more open space in this city. We have kind of skyscraper towers here with a little more open sky between them, which is kind of nice. And we do, of course, have the tightly set buildings, but we also have the rolly balls here, which are only seen in the tunnels otherwise. This is the only stage they appear in anywhere else. And they don't really work as well here. You know, when you're not in a tightly enclosed tunnel space, they start to look a little bit silly, because you can just fly over them, or destroy them at your leisure. They're not coming at you so fast. It's not a big deal. But whatever. Again, it's something a little bit different for a city, so why not? I have to admit, giant orbs rolling down the city's streets, crushing everything in their wake, would be a pretty good way of instilling terror in the masses, though. And we've got another set of helicopters here. In this case, it's just the two regular helicopters, no golden gyro hound. Still quite a few projectiles in the air, and they seem to have decent aim, if that was any indication. But two helicopters are certainly more manageable than three, so we'll make do. However good they are with theirs, they seem to be having a little trouble with my aim here. Yeah, we just got a self-destruct there. Interesting that the helicopters just kind of blow up after a while, as opposed to the sea snakes, which manage to get away when your boss timer runs out. No idea why they would just blow up in the air like that, but whatever. I'm not gonna knock it. And our final battle in Stage T is gonna take us to the Burbs. And our orders are to rescue the caught doctor. So we are going to be tasked with rescuing old Lindvery this time. And we get a very nice attachment to our Automo car, which is this big triple shot thing. Very nice coverage, makes aim a little bit less of an issue. And that's just as well because the Suburb Stage T is one hell of a missile party. And because it is a final stage, the missiles are at their maximum speed and accuracy, which is just no fun at all. Who am I kidding? I still get a kick out of this game, even when it's kicking my ass. Yeah, if you folks remember one of my Q&As for an anniversary episode or Watcher episode, I can't remember which exactly it was. I think it was my 5-year episode. I said that if I could have any game with me on a desert island or what have you, it would be the Space Harrier motion cabinet. I think if I couldn't get my hands on one of those, and they are very hard to come by in decent working order, I think one of the Night Striker sit-down cabinets would be a pretty nice compromise. Because as I mentioned in the intro to the first episode of this, they, in addition to being a nice sit-down experience, it didn't have a motion share, but it did have some pretty neat interior lighting, which was just kind of flickery white light to sort of simulate being in a city environment. But enough of that. We've got our final missile trailer here. And really the only difference between this and any other missile trailer is that it has the fastest and most accurate missile salvo, but it's hardly unavoidable. I mean, I took a hit there, but I'm going to be okay from here on out, and it doesn't really manage to survive that long because it doesn't have a lot of mobility and can't really do anything to avoid your shots, even if it can shield against them when it's not attacking you. So yeah, really one of the easier end bosses there. Immediately after defeating the missile Thaler Firecracker, the player went to rescue the Doctor. Finally, the player rescued the Doctor, who escaped by himself. The strategy has been quickly completed. The Doctor avowed that he was forced to make a terrible weapon in the terrorism factory. It was ultra-high-output laser gun. By using this weapon, they intended to burn up this city. But why they intended such thing? Well, terrorist's gonna terrorist, I suppose. But much bigger deal than that. God damn, Dr. Maska's an action hero. Managed to bust out of the terrorist factory all by himself and kind of running across a bridge away from the enemy, and just did a flying leap off the bridge straight into the player's vehicle. That's some impressive timing, and on top of that, that's some balls. Respect, Lindvery. Respect. Well then, that is another ending path for Night Striker down. We've just got one more left to go. That's going to be a battle on the sea, and I am not particularly looking forward to the missile party that's going to be. But we've got an unlimited quantity of virtual quarters, so no matter how much I manage to screw it up, we're going to get there eventually. Alrighty then, as usual, we're gonna cut it here, and we will just head on straight to the final stage this time. Twin helicopters down, we are now departing O-Town, and we're gonna be moving into a final battle at sea in Stage U. Being a final stage and a sea stage, this is gonna be the ultimate missile party, and my shields are not in good condition, so this could be a bit of a mess. Nevertheless, we must complete our mission, which is to rescue the cot doctor's daughter. And we get another firepower increasing attachment this time. In this case, it's going to be, instead of 3 standard shots side by side, we're going to have 2 wide shots, so it ultimately amounts to about the same amount of coverage, I think. In any case, it's pretty nice, not a liability like the motorcycle or the jetpack. And that's just as well because, yeah, as you are seeing, this is an absolutely hellacious missile party, and I am catching one in the face in pretty much every salvo. That's kind of embarrassing. I can pretty much guarantee I would be doing better with the arcade flight stick here because it just allows you to move with a little more precision, which helps for those last-minute dodges that help you get out of the way of the incoming missiles. And you can just move a little faster with it. I suppose using mouse controls or just turning up the analog sensitivity, I could probably move a little faster here too, but I am a lazy, lazy man. No, I don't even know what I was doing there. It just kind of flew right into it. Actually, I think I do know what I was doing there. I tried to dodge at the last second and started my dodge a little after the last second. Oh well. Well, being a sea stage, that means we're going to have the robotic sea dragons here. Not one of the easier bosses to defeat within the time limit, but at least one of the easier ones to survive against because it just kind of splatters projectiles willy-nilly at you. And that's pretty manageable. And wow, I actually took those out really fast. I guess the additional shot width really helped in getting those headshots in. And there's our all-right turn path to the U stage. When the player destroyed the anti-aircraft unmanned submarine Dragonhead and intended to go for disputing the doctor's daughter, he found a boat drafting about at the mercy of the waves. The cot daughter should be in that boat. The player heard that she escaped by watching for a chance of an unguarded moment. It was very good. Fine works were displayed in the night sky. This was a sign of peace, when all strategies have succeeded. Well, that's rather nice. And I see the apple certainly hasn't fallen very far from the tree. That's a pretty bold move on the part of Dr. Maska's daughter. I do have to say though, dude, hurry up and get her in the car already. You're dragging her along in an inflatable raft by the arm at what have to be very unsafe speeds. Seriously, just get her in the car and shut the hatch, you toolbox. Interestingly, this path, we've rescued the daughter, but there's really no telling what became of Dr. Maska. However, I do have to say, given his spectacular balls of steel base-jumping escape last path, I think he's gonna be just fine. And as we fade out on those very fine works being displayed in the sky, I think that's a pretty nice way to say farewell to Night Striker. Yeah, wow, I had really kind of forgotten just how much I like this game. I mean, I remembered it was a favorite of mine, but it had been a while since I'd really sat down with it for an extended period of time, and God, I love this game. Fantastic soundtrack. The game is very short. It only takes about 15 minutes to play through any given path, but the variability, the branching paths, give it some replay value, some extra variety. The multiple endings and the different metamorphoses of your car at the end of each stage. Just good stuff. Certainly the Space Harrier clone sprite-based rail shooter isn't exactly a crowded genre, but I have to say, Taito did a damn fine job with it. Well then, I think that's about all I've got for this outing. This is Un. As always, hoping you've enjoyed the trip. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next game. Until then, that's game, Hendrix. As they say at Taito, Special thanks to many other people. People like Justin Carpenter, Nolden, Zangamarth, Charlie Dunst, Anonymous Benefactor, John Madigan, Johnny Millennium, Sanguine Games, Joseph Coco, Misha Van Doren, Craig Patterson, Frank Greasy, Tim J., Lolo De Puzzlo, Joshua C. Ritchie, Chibi UFO, Jared C. Rice, and Darren Chow. And thanks as well to the many other people who have contributed to Patreon, or those who are just subscribing, commenting, watching. You are all very much appreciated. Take care, and I'll see you soon.